The day seemed darker when Dunk stepped from the snail's tent. The clouds in the east had grown bigger and blacker, and the sun was sinking to the west, casting long shadows across the yard. Dunk found the Squire Will inspecting Thunder's feet. "Where's Egg?" he asked of him.
"The bold boy? How would I know? Run off somewhere?"
He could not bear to say farewell to Thunder, Dunk decided. He'll be back at the tent with his books. He wasn't, though. The books were there, bundled neatly in a stack beside Egg's bedroll, but of the boy there was no sign. Something was wrong here. Dunk could feel it. It was not like Egg to wander off without his leave. A pair of grizzled men-at-arms were drinking barley beer outside a striped pavilion a few feet away.
"Well, bugger that. Once was enough for me,"
one muttered.
"The grass was green when the sun come up, aye."
He broke off when the other man gave him a nudge, and only then took note of Dunk.
"Sir?"
"Have you seen my squire? Egg, he's called." The man scratched at the gray stubble underneath one ear.
"I remember him. Less hair than me, and a mouth 3 times his size. Some of the other lads shoved him about a bit, but that was last night. I've not seen him since, sir."
"Scared him off," said his companion. Dunk gave that one a hard look. "If he comes back, tell him to wait for me here."
"Aye, sir. That we will."
Might be he just went to watch the jousts. Dunk headed back toward the tilting grounds. As he passed the stables, he came on Sir Glendon Ball brushing down a pretty sorrel charger. "Have you seen Egg?" he asked him.
"He ran past a few moments ago."
Sir Glendon pulled a carrot from his pocket and fed it to the sorrel.
"Do you like my new horse? Lord Custane sent his squire to ransom her, but I told him to save his gold. I meant to keep her for my own."
"His lordship will not like that."
"His lordship said that I had no right to put a fireball upon my shield. He told me my device should be a clump of pussy willows. His lordship can go bugger himself."
Dunk could not help but smile. He had supped at that same table himself, choking down the same bitter dishes as served up by the likes of the Bright Prince and Sir Stephen Fossaway. He felt a certain kinship with the prickly young knight. For all I know, my mother was a whore as well. "How many horses have you won?" Sir Glendon shrugged.
"I lost count. Mortimer Boggs still owes me one. He said he'd rather eat his horse than have some whore's bastard riding her, and he took a hammer to his armour before sending it to me. It's full of holes. I suppose I can still get something for the metal."
He sounded more sad than angry.
"There was a stable by the inn where I was raised. I worked there when I was a boy, and when I could I'd sneak their horses off while their owners were busy. I was always good with horses. Starts, roundseas, palfreys, drays, plough horses, war horses. I rode them all, even a Dornish sand steed. This old man I knew taught me how to make my own lances. I thought if I showed them all how good I was, they'd have no choice but to admit I was my father's son. But they won't. Even now. They just won't."
"Some never will," Dunk told him. "It doesn't matter what you do. Others, though, they're not all the same. I've met some good ones." He thought a moment. "When the tourney's done, Egg and I mean to go north, take service at Winterfell, and fight for the Starks against the Iron Men. You could come with us." The North was a world all its own, Sir Arlen always said. No one up there was like to know the tale of Penny Jenny and the Knight of the Pussy Willows. No one will laugh at you up there. They will know you only by your blade and judge you by your worth. Sir Glendon gave him a suspicious look.
Why would I want to do that? Are you telling me I need to run away and hide?
No, I just thought 2 swords instead of 1. The roads are not as safe as they once were.
That's true enough, the boy said grudgingly. But my father was once promised a place amongst the King's Guard. I mean to claim the white cloak that he never got to wear.
You have as much chance of wearing a white cloak as I do, Dunk almost said. You were born of a camp follower, and I crawled out of the gutters of Flea Bottom. Kings do not heap honor on the likes of you and me. The lad would not have taken kindly to that truth, however. Instead, he said, "Strength to your arm, then." He had not gone more than a few feet when Sir Glendon called after him.
Sir Duncan, wait, I should not have been so sharp. A knight must needs be courteous, my mother used to say.
The boy seemed to be struggling for words.
Lord Peake came to see me after my last joust. He offered me a place at Starpike. He said there was a storm coming, the likes of which Westeros had not seen for a generation, that he would need swords and men to wield them, loyal men who knew how to obey.
Dunk could hardly believe it. Gorman Peake had made his scorn for hedge knights plain, both on the road and on the roof, but the offer was a generous one. "Peake is a great lord," he said, wary, but not a man that I would trust, I think."
No.
The boy flushed.
There was a price. He'd take me into his service, he said, but first I would have to prove my loyalty. He would see that I was paired against his friend the fiddler next, and he wanted me to swear that I would lose.
Dunk believed him. He should have been shocked, he knew, and yet somehow he wasn't. "What did you say?"
I said I might not be able to lose to the fiddler even if I were trying, that I'd already unhorsed much better men than him, that the dragon's egg would be mine before the day was done.
Ball smiled feebly.
It was not the answer that he wanted. He called me a fool then, and told me that I had best watch my back. The fiddler had many friends, he said, and I had none.
Dunk put a hand upon his shoulder and squeezed. "You have 1, sir. 2 once I find egg." The boy looked at him in the eye and nodded.
It is good to know there are some true knights still.
Dunk got his first good look at Sir Tomard Heddle whilst searching for egg amongst the crowds about the lists. Heavy-set and broad, with a chest like a barrel, Lord Butterwell's good son wore black plate over boiled leather, and an ornate helm fashioned in the likeness of some demon scaled and slavering. His horse was 3 hands taller than thunder and 2 stone heavier, a monster of a beast armored in a coat of ringmail. The weight of all that iron made him slow, so Heddle never got up past a canter when the course was run, but that did not prevent him making short work of Sir Clarence Charlton. As Charlton was borne from the field upon a litter, Heddle removed his demonic helm. His head was broad and bald, his beard black and square. Angry red boils festered on his cheek and neck. Dunk knew that face. Heddle was the knight who'd growled at him at the bedchamber when he touched the dragon's egg. The man with the deep voice that he'd heard talking with Lord Peake. A jumble of words came rushing back to him.
"Beggar's feast you've laid before us. Is the boy his father's son? Bittersteel, need the sword. Oh, milk blood expect. Is the boy his father's son? I promise you, Bloodraven is not off dreaming. Is the boy his father's son?
He stared at the viewing stand, wondering if somehow Egg had contrived to take his rightful place amongst the notables. There was no sign of the boy, however. Butterwell and Frey were missing too, though Butterwell's wife was still in her seat, looking bored and restive. That's queer, Dunk reflected. This was Butterwell's castle, his wedding, and Frey was the father to his bride. These jousts were in their honor. Where would they have gone?
Sir Uthor Underleaf,
the herald boomed. A shadow crept across Dunk's face as the sun was swallowed by a cloud.
Sir Theomore of House Bulwer, the Old Ox, a knight of Black Crown, come forth and prove your valor.
The old ox made a fearsome sight in his blood-red armor, with black bull's horns rising from his helm. He needed the help of a brawny squire to get onto his horse, though, and the way his head was always turning as he rode suggested that Sir Maynard had been right about his eye. Still, the man received a lusty cheer as he took the field. Not so the snail, no doubt just as he preferred. On the first pass, both knights struck glancing blows. On the second, the old ox snapped his lance on Sir Uthor's shield, while the snail's blow missed entirely. The same thing happened on the third pass, and this time Sir Uthor swayed as if about to fall. He is feigning, Dunk realized. He is drawing the contest out to fatten the odds for next time. He had only to glance around to see Will at work, making wagers for his master. Only then did it occur to him that he might have fattened his own purse with a coin or two upon the snail. Dunk the lunk, thick as a castle wall. The old ox fell on the fifth pass, knocked sideways by a coronal that slipped deftly off his shield to take him in the chest. His foot tangled in the stirrup as he fell, and he was dragged 40 yards across the field before his men could get his horse under control. Again the litter came out, to bear him to the maester. A few drops of rain began to fall as Bulwer was carried away, darkening his surcoat where they fell. Dunk watched without expression. He was thinking about Egg. What if this secret enemy of mine has got his hands on him? It made as much sense as anything else. The boy is blameless. If someone has a quarrel with me, it should not be him who answers for it. Sir John the Fiddler was being armed for his next tilt when Dunk found him. No fewer than 3 squires were attending him, buckling on his armor and seeing to the trappings of his horse, whilst Lord Alan Cockshaw sat nearby drinking watered wine and looking bruised and peevish. When he caught sight of Dunk, Lord Alan sputtered, dribbling wine upon his chest. "How is it that you're still walking about? The snail stove your face in." "Steely pate made me a good strong helm, my lord. And my head is hard as stone, Sir Alan used to say." The fiddler laughed. "Pay no mind to Alan. Fireball's bastard knocked him off his horse onto that plump little rump of his. So now he has decided that he hates all hedge knights. That wretched pimpled creature is no son of Quentin Ball," insisted Alan Cockshaw. "He should never have been allowed to compete. If this were my wedding, I should have had him whipped for his presumption." "What maid would marry you?" Sir John said. "And Ball's presumption is a deal less grating than your pouting. Sir Duncan, are you perchance a friend of Galtrey the Green? I must shortly part him from his horse." Dunk did not doubt it. "I do not know the man, my lord." "Will you take a cup of wine? Some bread and olives?" "Only a word, my lord." "You may have all the words you wish. Let us adjourn to my pavilion." The fiddler held the flap for him. "Not you, Alan. You could do with a few less olives, if truth be told." Inside, the fiddler turned back to Dunk. "I knew Sir Uthor had not killed you. My dreams are never wrong. And the snail must face me soon enough. Once I've unhorsed him, I shall demand your arms and armor back. Your destrier as well, though you deserve a better mount.
Will you take one as my gift?
No, I couldn't do that. The thought made Dunk uncomfortable. I do not mean to be ungrateful, but
if it is the debt that troubles you, put the thought from your mind. I do not need your silver, sir, only your friendship. How can you be one of my knights without a horse?
Sir John drew on his gauntlets of lobstered steel and flexed his fingers. My squire is missing.
Ran off with a girl, perhaps?
Egg's too young for girls, my lord. He would never leave me of his own will. Even if I would die, and he would stay until my corpse was cold. His horse is still here, so is our mule.
If you like, I could ask my men to look for him.
My men. Dunk did not like the sound of that. Attorney for traitors, he thought. You are no hedge knight.
No.
The fiddler's smile was full of boyish charm.
But you knew that from the start. You've been calling me my lord since we met upon the road. Why is that?
The way you talk, the way you look, the way you act. Dunk the lunk, thick as a castle wall. Up on the roof last night, you said some things.
Wine makes me talk too much, but I meant every word. We belong together, you and I. My dreams do not lie.
Your dreams don't lie, said Dunk. But you do. John is not your true name, is it?
No.
The fiddler's eyes sparkled with mischief. He has Egg's eyes. His true name will be revealed soon enough to those who need to know. Lord Gorman Peake had slipped into the pavilion, scowling. Hedge knight, I warn you.
Oh, stop it, Gormy,
said the fiddler.
Sir Duncan is with us, nor will be soon. I told you, I dreamed of him.
Outside, a herald's trumpet blew. The fiddler turned his head.
They are calling me to the lists. Pray excuse me, Sir Duncan. We can resume our talk after I dispose of Sir Galtry the Green.
Strength to your arm, Dunk said. It was only courteous. Lord Gorman remained after Sir John had gone. His dreams will be the death of all of us. What did it take to buy Sir Galtry? Dunk heard himself say. Was silver sufficient, or does he require gold? Someone has been talking, I see. Peake seated himself in a camp chair. I have a dozen men outside. I ought to call them in and have them slit your throats, sir. Why don't you? His Grace would take it ill. His Grace. Dunk felt as though someone had punched him in the belly. Another black dragon, he thought. Another Blackfire rebellion, and soon another red grass field. The grass was not red when the sun came up. Why this wedding? Lord Butterwell wanted a new young wife to warm his bed, and Lord Frey had a somewhat soiled daughter. Their nuptials provided a plausible pretext for some like-minded lords to gather. Most of those invited here fought for the Black Dragon once. The rest have reasons to resent Bloodraven's rule, or nurse grievances and ambitions of their own. Many of us had sons and daughters taken to King's Landing to vouchsafe our future loyalty, but most of the hostages perished in the Great Spring sickness. Our hands are no longer tied. Our time is come. Eris is weak, a bookish man and no warrior. The commons hardly know him, and what they know they do not like. His lords love him even less. His father was weak as well, that is true. But when his throne was threatened, he had sons to take the field for him. Baelor and Maekar, the hammer and the anvil.
But Baylor Breakspear is no more, and Prince Makar sulks at Summerhall, at odds with king and hand.
Aye, thought Dunk, and now some fool hedge knight has delivered his favorite son into the hands of his enemies. How better to ensure that the prince never stirs from Summerhall? There is Bloodraven, he said. He is not weak.
No, Lord Peake allowed, but no man loves a sorcerer, and kinslayers are accursed in the sight of gods and men. At the first sign of weakness or defeat, Bloodraven's men will melt away like summer snows. And if the dream the prince has dreamed comes true, and a living dragon comes forth here at White Walls, Dunk finished for him.
The throne is yours.
His, said Lord Gorman Peake. I am but a humble servant. He rose. Do not attempt to leave the castle, sir. If you do, I will take it as a proof of treachery, and you will answer with your life. We have gone too far to turn back now. The leaden sky was spitting down rain in earnest as John the Fiddler and Sir Galtry the Green took up fresh lances at opposite ends of the lists. Some of the wedding guests were streaming off toward the great hall, huddled under cloaks. Sir Galtry rode a white stallion. A drooping green plume adorned his helm, a matching plume his horse's crinnet. His cloak was a patchwork of many squares of fabric, each a different shade of green. Gold inlay made his greaves and gauntlet glitter, and his shield showed 9 jade mullets upon a leek green field. Even his beard was dyed green, in the fashion of the men of Tyrosh across the narrow sea. 9 times he and the fiddler charged with levelled lances, the green patchwork knight and the young lordling of the golden swords and fiddles, and 9 times their lances shattered. By the 8th run, the ground had begun to soften, and the big destriers splashed through pools of rainwater. On the 9th, the fiddler almost lost his seat, but recovered before he fell.
Well struck,
he called out, laughing.
You almost had me down, sir.
Soon enough, the Green Knight shouted through the rain.
No, I think not.
The fiddler tossed his splintered lance away, and a squire handed him a fresh one. The next run was their last. Sir Galtry's lance scraped ineffectually off the fiddler's shield, whilst Sir John's took the Green Knight squarely in the center of his chest and knocked him from his saddle, to land with a great brown splash. In the east, Dunk saw the flash of distant lightning. The viewing stands were emptying out quickly, as small folk and lordlings alike scrambled to get out of the wet. "See how they run," murmured Alan Cockshaw as he slid up beside Dunk. "A few drops of rain, and all the bold lords go squealing for shelter. What will they do when the real storm breaks, I wonder?" The real storm. Dunk knew Lord Alan was not talking about the weather. What does this one want? Has he suddenly decided to befriend me? The herald mounted his platform once again.
Sir Tomard Heddle, a knight of White Walls in service to Lord Butterwell,
he shouted as thunder rumbled in the distance.
Sir Uthor Underleaf, come forth and prove your valor.
Dunk glanced over at Sir Uthor in time to see the snail's smile go sour. This is not the match he paid for. The Master of Games had crossed him up. But why? Someone else has taken a hand. Someone Cosgrove esteems more than Uthor Underleaf. Dunk chewed on that for a moment. They do not know that Uthor does not mean to win, he realized all at once. They see him as a threat, so they mean for Black Tom to remove him from the fiddler's path. Heddle himself was part of Peake's conspiracy.
He could be called on to lose when the need arose, which left no one but... And suddenly Lord Peake himself was storming across the muddy field to climb the steps to the herald's platform, his cloak flapping behind him.
"We are betrayed,"
he cried.
"Bloodraven has a spy amongst us. The dragon's egg is stolen."
Sir John the Fiddler wheeled his mount around. My egg? How is that possible? Lord Butterwell keeps guards outside his bedchamber night and day.
Slain, Lord Peake declared. But one man named his killer before he died.
Does he mean to accuse me? Dunk wondered. A dozen men had seen him touch the dragon's egg last night, when he'd carried Lady Butterwell to her lord husband's bed. Lord Gorman's finger stabbed down in accusation.
There he stands, the whore's son. Seize him!
At the far end of the lists, Sir Glendon Ball looked up in confusion. For a moment he did not appear to comprehend what was happening, until he saw men rushing at him from all directions. Then the boy moved more quickly than Dunk could have believed. He had his sword half out of its sheath when the first man threw an arm around his throat. Ball wrenched free of his grip, but by then 2 more of them were on him. They slammed into him and dragged him down into the mud. Other men swarmed over them, shouting and kicking. That could have been me, Dunk realized. He felt as helpless as he had at Ashford, the day they'd told him he must lose a hand and a foot. Alan Cockshaw pulled him back.
Stay out of this if you want to find that squire of yours.
Dunk turned on him.
What do you mean?
I may know where to find the boy.
Where?
Dunk was in no mood for games. At the far end of the field, Sir Glendon was yanked roughly back onto his feet, pinioned between 2 men-at-arms in mail and half-helms. He was brown with mud from waist to ankle, and blood and rain washed down his cheeks. Hero's blood, thought Dunk, as Black Tom dismounted before the captive.
Where is the egg?
Blood dribbled from Ball's mouth.
Why would I steal the egg? I was about to win it.
Aye, thought Dunk, and that they could not allow. Black Tom slashed Ball across the face with a mailed fist.
Search his saddlebags, Lord Peake commanded. We'll find the dragon's egg wrapped up and hidden, I'll wager.
Lord Allen lowered his voice.
And so they will. Come with me if you want to find your squire. There's no better time than now, whilst they're all occupied.
He did not wait for a reply. Dunk had to follow. 3 long strides brought him abreast of the lordling.
If you have done egg any harm...
Boys are not to my taste. This way, step lively now.
Through an archway, down a set of muddy steps, around a corner, Dunk stalked after him, splashing through puddles as the rain fell around them. They stayed close to the walls, cloaked in shadows, finally stopping in a closed courtyard where the paving stones were smooth and slick. Buildings pressed close on every side. Above were windows, closed and shuttered. In the center of the courtyard was a well, ringed with a low stone wall. A lonely place, Dunk thought. He did not like the feel of it. Old instinct made him reach for his sword hilt before he remembered that the snail had won his sword. As he fumbled at his hip where his scabbard should have hung, he felt the point of a knife poke his lower back.
Turn on me, and I'll cut your kidney out and give it to Butterwell's cooks to fry up for the feast.
The knife pushed in through the back of Dunk's jerkin, insistent.
Over to the well. No sudden moves, sir.
If he has thrown egg down that well, he will need more than some little toy knife to save him. Dunk walked forward slowly. He could feel the anger growing in his belly. The blade at his back vanished.
"You may turn and face me now, Hedge Knight."
Dunk turned.
"My lord, is this about the dragon's egg?"
"No, this is about the dragon. Did you think I would stand by and let you steal him?"
Sir Alan grimaced.
"I should have known better than to trust that wretched snail to kill you. I'll have my gold back, every coin."
Him? Dunk thought. This plump, pasty-faced, perfumed lordling is my secret enemy? He did not know whether to laugh or weep.
Sir Uthor earned his gold. I have a hard head is all.
"So it seems. Back away."
Dunk took a step backwards.
"Again. Again. Once more."
Another step, and he was flush against the well, its stones pressed against his lower back.
"Sit down on the rim. Not afraid of a little bath, are you? You cannot get much wetter than you are right now."
"I cannot swim."
Dunk rested a hand on the well. The stones were wet. One moved beneath the pressure of his palm.
"What a shame. Will you jump, or must I prick you?"
Dunk glanced down. He could see the raindrops dimpling the water, a good 20 feet below. The walls were covered with a slime of algae.
"I never did you any harm."
"And never will. Daemon's mine. I will command his Kingsguard. You are not worthy of a white cloak."
"I never claimed I was."
Daemon. The name rang in Dunk's head. Not John. Daemon, after his father. Dunk the Lunk, thick as a castle wall.
Daemon Blackfire sired 7 sons. 2 died upon the red grass field. Twins.
Aemon and Aegon. Wretched, witless bullies just like you. When we were little, they took pleasure in tormenting me and Daemon both. I wept when Bittersteel carried him off to exile, and again when Lord Peake told me he was coming home. But then he saw you upon the road and forgot that I existed."
Cockshaw waved his dagger threateningly.
"You can go into the water as you are, or you can go in bleeding. Which will it be?"
Dunk closed his hand around the loose stone. It proved to be less loose than he had hoped. Before he could wrench it free, Sir Alan lunged. Dunk twisted sideways, so the point of the blade sliced through the meat of his shield arm, and then the stone popped free. Dunk fed it to his lordship, and felt his teeth crack beneath the blow.
"The well, is it?"
He hit the lordling in the mouth again, then dropped the stone, seized Cockshaw by the wrist, and twisted until a bone snapped and the dagger clattered to the stones.
"After you, my lord."
Sidestepping, Dunk yanked at the lordling's arm and planted a kick in the small of his back. Lord Alan toppled headlong into the well. There was a splash. "Well done, sir." Dunk whirled. Through the rain, all he could make out was a hooded shape and a single pale white eye. It was only when the man came forward that the shadowed face beneath the cowl took on the familiar features of Sir Maynard Plum, the pale eye no more than the moonstone brooch that pinned his cloak at the shoulder. Down in the well, Lord Alan was thrashing and splashing and calling for help.
"Murder! Someone help me!"
"He tried to kill me,"
Dunk said.
"That would explain all the blood."
Blood? He looked down. His left arm was red from shoulder to elbow, his tunic clinging to his skin. Oh. Dunk did not remember falling, but suddenly he was on the ground, with raindrops running down his face. He could hear Lord Alan whimpering from the well, but his splashing had grown feebler. We need to have that arm bound up. Sir Maynard slipped his own arm under Dunk. Up now. I cannot lift you by myself. Use your legs. Dunk used his legs. Lord Alan, he's going to drown. He shan't be missed, least of all by the fiddler. He's not, Dunk gasped, pale with pain. A fiddler? No, he is Daemon of House Blackfire, the second of his name. Or so he would style himself if ever he achieves the Iron Throne. You would be surprised to know how many lords prefer their kings brave and stupid. Daemon is young and dashing, and looks good on a horse. The sounds from the well were almost too faint to hear. Shouldn't we throw his lordship down a rope? Save him now to execute him later? I think not. Let him eat the meal that he meant to serve to you. Come, lean on me. Plum guided him across the yard. This close, there was something queer about the cast of Sir Maynard's features. The longer Dunk looked, the less he seemed to see. I did urge you to flee, you will recall, but you esteemed your honor more than your life. An honorable death is well and good, but if the life at stake is not your own, what then? Would your answer be the same, sir? Whose life? From the well came one last splash. Egg? Do you mean egg? Dunk clutched at Plum's arm. Where is he? With the gods, and you will know why, I think. The pain that twisted inside Dunk just then made him forget his arm. He groaned. He tried to use the boot. So I surmise. He showed the ring to Maester Lothar, who delivered him to Butterwell, who no doubt pissed his breeches at the sight of it, and started wondering if he had chosen the wrong side, and how much Bloodraven knows of this conspiracy. The answer to that last is quite a lot. Plum chuckled. Who are you? A friend, said Maynard Plum. One who has been watching you and wondering at your presence in this nest of adders. Now be quiet until we get you mended. Staying in the shadows, the two of them made their way back to Dunk's small tent. Once inside, Sir Maynard lit a fire, filled a bowl with wine, and set it on the flames to boil. A clean cut, and at least it is not your sword arm, he said, slicing through the sleeve of Dunk's blood-stained tunic. The thrust appears to have missed the bone. Still, we will need to wash it out, or you could lose the arm. It doesn't matter. Dunk's belly was roiling, and he felt as if he might retch at any moment. If Egg is dead, you bear the blame. You should have kept him well away from here. I never said the boy was dead, though. I said he was with the gods. Do you have clean linen, silk? My tunic, the good one I got in Dawn. What do you mean? He's with the gods? In good time. Your arm first. The wine soon began to steam. Sir Maynard found Dunk's good silk tunic, sniffed at it suspiciously, then slid out a dagger and began to cut it up. Dunk swallowed his protest. Ambrose Butterwell has never been what you might call decisive, Sir Maynard said, as he wadded up 3 strips of silk and dropped them in the wine. He had doubts about this plot from the beginning, doubts that were inflamed when he learned that the boy did not bear the sword. And this morning his dragon's egg vanished, and with it the last dregs of his courage. Sir Glendon did not steal the egg, Dunk said. He was in the yard all day, tilting or watching others tilt. Peake will find the egg in his saddlebags all the same. The wine was boiling. Plum drew on a leather glove and said, Try not to scream. Then he pulled a strip of silk out of the boiling wine and began to wash the cut. Dunk did not scream. He gnashed his teeth and bit his tongue and smashed his fist against his thigh hard enough to leave bruises, but he did not scream. Sir Maynard used the rest of his good tunic to make a bandage and tied it tight around his arm. "How does that feel?" he asked when he was done.
"Bloody awful."
Dunk shivered.
"Where's Egg?"
"With the gods, I told you." Dunk reached up and wrapped his good hand around Plum's neck.
"Speak plain. I am sick of hints and winks. Tell me where to find the boy, or I will snap your bloody neck, friend or no."
"The sept. You would do well to go armed." Sir Maynard smiled. "Is that plain enough for you, Dunk?"